I have watched WWE for years. Raw every Monday, SmackDown every Friday, every PLE, every build, every storyline. And for the longest time, I just assumed that was wrestling. That what the WWE was doing was the gold standard and everything else was either inferior or just not worth my time. I had never watched a single episode of AEW Dynamite, never watched an AEW pay-per-view. I knew the names, of course, Kenny Omega, MJF, Hangman Page, but I never actually sat down and watched them wrestle. That changed a few weeks ago, and I genuinely don't know how to process what I experienced. This is not a review of AEW Revolution. This is an honest account of a WWE fan watching AEW for the first time. What blew me away, what confused me, what frustrated me, and why I'm officially all in. Here's the context. Raw has been rough lately, and I say that as someone who genuinely loves the product and has defended it more times than I can count. But since 2026 started, Raw has felt like it's running on autopilot. You tune in, you get a recap of last week, you get a 5-minute match, interrupted by a commercial break, you get another recap, another segment, another ad break, 12 commercial breaks per show, 12, one every 15 minutes. And it's not just the ads, it's the feeling that nothing is building toward anything urgent. The road to WrestleMania should feel electric. It should feel like every episode matters. Right now, it feels like WWE knows people will show up regardless, so they're not even trying particularly hard to earn it. SmackDown has been better, genuinely, but Raw, it's been hard to watch. So, one Wednesday evening, I'm sitting at home bored, and I see that AEW Dynamite is on. And I also see that AEW Revolution, one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year, is happening that weekend. And I thought, you know what? Fine. Let's see what this is actually about. And I was not prepared for what I watched. The go-home episode of Dynamite before Revolution did not feel like a television show building toward a pay-per-view. It felt like a pay-per-view itself. The matches were pay-per-view quality, the crowd was alive, the energy in that building was something that Raw hasn't had consistently in months. And here's the thing that hit me immediately. AEW just starts. There's no 20-minute opening promo, no recap package before the first match, no formulaic talking segment to set up what we already know is going to happen. They just get into it. Match 1 begins and the crowd is already locked in. As a WWE fan, I'm so conditioned to the structure of a Raw or SmackDown that watching Dynamite felt almost disorienting at first. Where's the talking? Where's the recap? And then I realized I didn't miss it, not even slightly. By the time Dynamite ended, I had made my decision. I was tuning into Revolution. So Revolution comes around, it starts around 4 a.m. my time because that's the reality of being a wrestling fan in this part of the world. I had planned to skip the 0-hour pre-show and jump straight into the main card. About 30 minutes into 0 hour, I caved in and put it on. And immediately there's a battle royale happening, a massive multi-man match with guys I had never seen before. I did not know most of their names, I did not know their storylines, and I was still entertained because the in-ring work was good enough that it didn't matter. The match told its own story without requiring me to have done homework beforehand. That was the first sign that something was different here. The main show opens with FTR versus the Young Bucks for the Tag Team Championships. I knew who the Young Bucks were, Mac and Nick Jackson, two of the founding fathers of All Elite Wrestling, controversial figures online. I had opinions on them before I had even watched them wrestle. I had no idea who FTR were, but none of that mattered because what those 4 men did in that ring was genuinely one of the best tag team matches I have ever watched. The storytelling within the match itself, the near falls, the callback spots, the emotional peaks, it was all there. FTR retain and the crowd loses its mind, and I'm sitting at home at 5 a.m. completely invested in a match between people I barely knew existed an hour ago. And then the match ends, and Adam Copeland's music hits. Edge is back. And look, as a WWE fan who watched Edge's career, who knows what he means to professional wrestling, seeing him back on a screen does something to me. I am immediately pumped and I think to myself, okay, one big return, that's the moment of the night. That's what they were building to. We had the big return, show's going to settle now. And I was wrong. Then we get Marina Shafir versus Timeless Toni Storm. My first time watching either of these women compete. And what I got was a brutal, personal, visceral match that felt like genuine hatred between two people. Not choreographed animosity, actual violence with genuine emotion behind it. Then Ronda Rousey makes her AEW debut. which felt a bit sudden and random to me, and honestly, a few weeks later with no follow-up on Dynamite, it still feels a bit random, but in the moment, another massive moment on what was quickly becoming a stacked show. Then, Jon Moxley versus Takeshita for the Continental Championship. These two men did not leave that ring. For 20 minutes, they absolutely dismantled each other. No gimmicks, no interference, no overproduced spectacle. Just two of the best wrestlers on the planet beating the hell out of each other for a championship that felt like it actually meant something. Brutal, physical, earned. The near falls had me on the edge of my seat for a match I had stumbled into completely blind. And then Will Ospreay's music hits. Ospreay, who had double neck surgery and wasn't expected back until much later, just walks out, and even as someone who had never watched him compete in AEW, I knew enough about who he was to understand the magnitude. This is one of the best wrestlers on the planet returning from a genuinely serious injury. The crowd erupted. I erupted in my room like an idiot. And that was not even the main event. Match after match, Swerve Strickland versus Brody King, intense, physical, the crowd completely invested in every moment. The Trios Championship match, where Mystico, whom I knew from his CMLL legacy, not only makes his AEW debut, but immediately wins championship gold. What a way to introduce someone to your audience. Kenny Omega returns, Bandito versus Andrade delivering something genuinely spectacular. The crowd kept going, and here's the thing, it never felt too long. It never felt like I needed a break, because the moment one match ended, the hype package for the next one started. The entrances happened and we were straight back. No ads, no 15 minutes breaks, no recap of things I had just watched 20 minutes ago. One match ended, another began for nearly 6 hours. And then it was time for the main event. Now this is around 9 a.m. my time. I had been up all night and this match comes in. Hangman Adam Page versus MJF, Texas Death Match, AEW World Championship, and the stipulation is if Hangman loses, he can never challenge for the title again. I knew enough about both men to understand the stakes. MJF as a character is one of the most compelling heels in professional wrestling, the kind of villain you genuinely love to hate. And Hangman as a babyface carries a quiet, soulful kind of suffering that translates immediately even if you haven't watched his full arc. What followed was around an hour of professional wrestling that I genuinely struggled to put into words. That brutality was unlike anything I had seen in a WWE ring in years. Syringes, broken glass, electrical equipment, spots that made me physically react in a way that wrestling rarely makes me react anymore. That was not sanitized violence. This was two men committing fully to the chaos of a Texas Death Match and not holding anything back. But what separated it from being a spot fest, what made it genuinely great, was the pacing. It never blew everything early and then had nothing left. It kept building. Every time you thought it had peaked, it found another gear. The near falls were devastating. The comeback spots were earned. The crowd was with them from the first bell to the last. And Hangman made suffering look cinematic. That's the only way I can describe it. He wasn't selling pain. He was performing it like an actor performing a tragic art. And every single person in that arena felt. MJF was right there with him every step of the way. The match came to a conclusive end. Not an abrupt finish because they were running overtime. A proper, earned, definitive conclusion to a story, and MJF stands over a hanged Hangman, bloody, victorious, and it felt like the end of something real. This is a top 2 or top 3 best matches I have seen live as a wrestling fan. No hesitation. After Revolution, I did what any reasonable person does. I went on YouTube and watched more AEW because I needed to know, was Revolution a special occasion, a once-in-a-lifetime peak, or is this what AEW actually is? So I started digging, and what I found was match after match that belongs in any serious conversation about the greatest professional wrestling has to offer. The first thing I watched was Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes from AEW's very first pay-per-view, Double or Nothing 2019. Two brothers, one of whom had just left WWE, settling something deeply personal in front of a crowd that was witnessing the birth of a new promotion. By the end of it, both men are in tears, and so was I. Frankly, that match had no business being as emotionally devastating as it is. Then I watched MJF versus Bryan Danielson in the Iron Man match from Revolution 2023. 60 minutes, not a single wasted minute. This became my personal favorite AEW match that I found in that rabbit hole. Two of the most technically gifted performers in the world going the full distance in a match that told a complete story from the opening bell to the final second. The reversals, the character work within the match itself, the crowd was completely losing their minds in the closing stretch. That is professional wrestling at its absolute peak. Then Omega vs. Ospreay from Forbidden Door 2023, two of the best wrestlers on the planet, both at their peak in a match that felt like watching two people push the boundaries of what a wrestling match can physically be. Omega vs. Moxley from Full Gear 2019, the unsanctioned match that helped establish what AEW was willing to do that WWE simply couldn't. Hangman vs. Swerve from Full Gear 2023, another Texas death match which now made what I just watched at Revolution feel like a part of a lineage rather than an isolated moment. Danielson vs. Ospreay from Dynasty 2024, and I kept going. Okada vs. Omega from All In Texas, Ospreay vs. Fletcher, Revolution 2025, Moxley vs. Tanahashi from Forbidden Door, match after match after match. Here's what the rabbit hole confirmed. Revolution was not a fluke. AEW has spent 6 years building a catalog of matches that belongs in the conversation with the greatest professional wrestling has produced. The Omega era, the Mox era, the MJF era, there are distinct chapters here with genuine artistic merit to each one of them, and I had been ignoring all of it. Now I have to be honest, because this video wouldn't be worth watching if I just spent the whole time glazing AEW. The episode of Dynamite after Revolution, I was underwhelmed. As a WWE fan, I'm conditioned to expect pay-per-view episodes to be electric. The Fallout show, new directions, character moments, promos addressing what just happened. AEW gave me mostly matches without enough story progression around them. After a pay-per-view that did so much for so many characters, I wanted to see those threads pulled. Instead, it felt like business as usual. That told me something important. AEW's story on weekly television is inconsistent in a way that WWE, for all its flaws, usually isn't. WWE's weekly shows have a structure and a discipline to their narrative that AEW doesn't always match. The episode after that though, really good, back to what had hooked me in the first place. And that's what AEW is in a nutshell. When it's good, it's the best thing in professional wrestling. When it's not, it can feel a bit directionless. The pay-per-views are almost always exceptional. I also tried TNA and AAA during the same week. TNA felt like a promotion still finding its footing, and the production made it hard to take seriously. AAA had incredible individual moments, but the presentation, including literal advertisement logos on the screen during matches, made it feel difficult to invest. Neither hooked me the way AEW did. Collision, AEW's second show, also didn't grab me. It felt like a B show in the same way NXT feels compared to Raw or SmackDown. I don't even know enough of the roster there yet to invest. For now, I'm adding Dynamite to my weekly rotation alongside Raw and SmackDown, simple as that. And here's where I've landed. I'm not dropping WWE. I'm too invested in those storylines, those characters, that product. But I was wrong to ignore AEW for as long as I did, and Revolution is the reason why. There are two extremes in the wrestling fandom now that I want no part of. The WWE loyalist who dismisses everything else as fake indie wrestling, and an AEW purist who acts like WWE hasn't produced some of the greatest moments in sports entertainment history. Both positions are lazy, and both positions make you miss out. Wrestling is too good right now across too many promotions to be tribalistic about it. What AEW Revolution showed me is that professional wrestling at its absolute best, when it's given time, when performers are trusted, when the production gets out of the way, is one of the most compelling forms of storytelling in any medium. A 1-hour Texas death match between two men I barely knew 3 weeks ago left me more emotionally affected than most things I've watched recently. That's not nothing, that's everything. And I'm officially all in.